I was going down a path that like I completely really just hated. Like I went to college and like was studying something I didn't care about at all. And then I graduated and I was like working in restaurants, but like it just like was never feeling right. But like in my heart, like it was in my senior year of college, I got the idea to like first go to Australia, and it was just one of those ideas that like just comes to you, you know?
Yeah.
But like, and I had no idea what was over there, but like I just knew I had to go. And
Like
so,
that pull, like that
yeah,
calling to go.
yeah, it literally was a calling.
And find
It was
out,
that
yeah.
calling on my heart, and um, ever since like I listened to that, it's just like I said, night and day, you know. I feel like I have grown so much, and even though like in my life right now I still don't really know like where it's gonna go, like I do know that I'm like on the right path, and like this is like where I'm supposed to be, and like I'm gonna continue to like go where I'm supposed to go next, you know.
So Australia wasn't like the destination that you dreamed about because of what's there in sort of tourism, but you just felt like an internal pull
Yes.
to move abroad and go and experience life there, and what's it gonna bring you, like what's gonna turn into.
Well, it was funny because I was talking to someone today at the cafe, and I was talking a bit about my experience, and I was like, both countries that I've lived long term in, which are Australia and Vietnam, with both of them, I had like no interest or like even image of like what it was gonna be like over there, but it was just like I felt like I should go there, and or like something brought me there. Like for example, what first brought me to Vietnam was it was a world pack or like volunteer exchange, you know. But like with both of them, I never. It's like you said, it was never like oh, like I've been dreaming of Australia for years. No.
Like I need to check out these top 10 things to do in Australia. No,
it literally wasn't that. It's like it was just like I have to go there.
Yeah.
And I did, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
So glad every day. I think before I left, I was like living my life a lot like in fear, or like also a lot for other people, like both of them. And sometimes fear of what other people would think also kept me from actually like doing a lot of the things I want to do. But Australia, it allowed me to like have a place where like nobody knew me, and like I could like there was no preconceived expectation of who I was supposed to be.
That's the best. I think that's the best thing about traveling, right? Because you get to now figure out who you are, what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like. You have like you're outside of the circle that you grew up in, and all these expectations that were placed upon you, and values that you were sort of like they were sort of imposed on you through not only the people around, but also like the society and the world that we live in. And now you get to figure out what you actually want, who you are, what you value.
With nobody's telling you, you know, who you should be, what you should do.
I always loved traveling. I always loved spending, but I was also in a similar space like you. For me, going live like a nomad, it was a journey of liberation and coming back to myself, and literally just like such a healing journey, because I was living in a place where it was just pressure and stress and constrictions and expectations and like never ceasing pressure. It was like, you know, I was doing 2 jobs, I was sleeping 3.5 hours. Everyone was mad at me all the time. You know, I was late to bring my kids to school. I was late to work because I was a single mom juggling it all, you know, always breaking everything last moment in my car. Like I cannot even tell you how many car accidents I had. Like I was in a state of complete constant pressure. And basically living up to everybody else's expectations, always trying to make the world fucking happy, and never like I literally felt like I have no say in my own life. I was forced to live in a country without the sea against my own will for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it, you know?
Yeah.
And I sort of had to. And I basically had to break all these chains and expectations of other people that were placed upon me. It wasn't easy. It was like, you know.
It's not an easy journey.
But I reached a point in my life where it was actually affecting my health. And I was like in this state where I was like losing my life force energy. I was so weak. I needed my sons to pull me out of the bed to get up. I had to hold on to furniture not to faint. They had the number of ambulance written on the fringe if mommy faints.
Yeah.
To know what to do, you know? And I was just like so frozen in this state, from paralyzed from like fear and other people's expectations, endless pressure, no break, and just like this lifestyle that
like living that sort of way, it's almost just like
it's normalized.
It's not, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's normalized, and it's like, well, what do you mean? Like you, like this is just how life goes, and it's like that's not how life
suck it up.
No, and it's like
that's life, they say. Yeah,
exactly. But it's like, well, actually, like life doesn't have to be like that though. Like I saw this post on like Facebook the other day, and it was like, go to school 20 years, work 40 years, 5 to 10 years free, die. It's a scam. And I was just looking at it, and I was like, you don't have to do that though.
No.
Like you don't have to subscribe to that way of life. And I think I do think it's starting to change a little bit, but I feel like when those pressures and that fear and that expectation, it is so ingrained that, in my experience, and it also sounds like yours, like you have to pull yourself out of it in order to begin like the process.
It's a lonely path to get out of that circle but it's also like you have to reach a certain point of realization that what has been normalized by majority of the society is not normal. It is against your own natural rhythm. It's against what your heart wants, what your soul wants. It's a constriction. It's a prison that we're living in. And basically, we're born free. And everyone wants to just be free. That's why I feel like my journey has been back to freedom, back to me, back to who I am, what I want. And like now I feel like I have a say in my own life. Like I used to feel I'm just gonna have to like suck it up and live this life through till the end, and just like be strong enough to make it.
I truly do not think I would like be the person I am today and like be in the place I am personally and just inwardly if I hadn't like gone abroad. And like you said, for me it definitely has been a journey, and some parts have been very hard. Like I can't lie, like some parts it was like it was like we needed to like face certain parts, like the limiting beliefs or like parts of me that just weren't serving me anymore or were kind of in the past. But
absolutely, because like when you start traveling, it's not just changing location. It's not about changing the place and just getting yourself away from the place where everybody knows you. You have to change your mindset. You have to start facing the beliefs that you bought into your whole life, and they're not true about so many different things, not just the way of life, but about yourself, about money, about relationships, about freedom, about everything. And once you start challenging it, it comes with also like this maybe anger for what you accepted for a long time, right? For me, it was like realizing, man, I had no boundaries for so long. I let myself be treated so badly, Like it comes to realization, it comes with sadness for how long of a time of my life I've spent in this prison of trying to make other people happy, or trying to live up to some expectations, or even thinking in that victim mode where I thought that I have no say in my life, that I have no choice, that I just have to accept that, you know, these restrictions that other people placed on me is my reality and that's how it's going to be, you know? And yeah, once you realize that was a lie you bought into, that was an illusion that you lived, it's like it doesn't just come like, oh yeah, now I'm free. There is sadness, you know, there's grief, there's all these emotions that come up. Like growth is never comfortable, you know?
No.
And even when you realize how you limit yourself, you know, like when you come to realizations about patterns that you still have to break, that you still, you know, that you haven't learned your whole life, like for example setting boundaries or have some self-respect, or even like, you know, as you grow, I think that's what is one of the biggest values behind like going traveling and being nomad, is not just the freedom but also the growth. And like your dedication to your growth is ongoing, right? Like we never stop growing.
No, you never get to the end, and it's like, okay, I can check out. No, if it's gonna, you know, you keep at it, and you know, you take what you learn and you continue to apply it. And at first, maybe you're a bit shit. For example, at setting boundaries, that's something that for me I'm still working on. But it's like, but I'm trying though, and I'm realizing, and like. Yeah, it's definitely a journey, but like it goes back to the fear, right? Like there's no, it's okay to maybe be afraid to like face parts of yourself or like face limiting beliefs or things you were accepting, but it's necessary. Like still do it anyways, you know. And I think also traveling helps a lot with the growth, because aside from like the beliefs about yourself and the inwards, it's like it does almost, in my opinion, like subconsciously, like almost like reassure yourself that like you can like deal with maybe those more like harder personal battles, because it's like, well, physically, like I'm in another country figuring it out, so now like, because everything about it, it's like so new and like does provide a challenge, but that also, in my experience, like, you know, makes me like either consciously or subconsciously, you know that like I can like handle these. Like it might be hard, it might be a little messy, but like I can, you know, and like
because you're here, you're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
exactly.
That's just like one of the most beautiful parts about like growing. You know, a lot of people think, oh, when I'll save up money or when I feel confident, when I'll feel ready, then I'll do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
But that confidence and that certainty doesn't come from overthinking it over and over and over for years, postponing your dreams until forever, or like never starting the business that you want, never going traveling until you're ready, or, you know. It comes from actually doing the things that you're afraid of. And little by little, as you do them, you start realizing, I'm figuring it out on the way. Like I can do these. I'm finding the way, and I'm growing at the same time. And the more you do it, the more confidence you have in yourself, the more adaptable you become, the more resilient you become. Like these things that, you know, make you realize, oh my God, like I'm such a capable human being.
Even like 6 months ago, I still maybe felt like a bit insecure about like, oh, like what are people gonna think, or like should I go get a job, you know. But I remember when I first like came here to Vietnam, like literally I felt called like, just don't get a job. Like that sounds kind of crazy, but it was like, don't get a job, and I was like, oh. And that was uncomfortable at first. That was really
the box,
yeah, because it's like now that's like taking like any like the main conception I had of how to support myself and how to, you know, survive in this life, and like thrown that out the window. So it's like, oh shit, well, what am I gonna do now? But then it's like, because since coming abroad and like listening to my intuition, like number one, just practically, if I look back on every time in the past where like there's been a situation where in the moment I felt unsure about it, I look back and I'm like, that makes sense that happened. Like that makes sense. Like I got through that though, you know, that was for a reason. These are the lessons I learned.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, when you feel called to do something that to maybe most people or even to yourself might seem very much like, whoa, how does that work? But now you are sure of yourself and you have that inner confidence to know, and that resilience, like you said, to know that, like, even though, like I said, you might not know how it's going to lead, it's like in your purpose, and like you know that this is what you're supposed to be doing right now, and you have the confidence that like you will be taken care of, you know.
I think it's more like you develop the confidence as you go, and as you prove yourself over and over that you can do it, and then you're actually sending a message to your subconscious mind that you are somebody who is capable and adaptable and like, you know, able to deal with challenges, whatever life brings you. But at the beginning, it's not so much confidence as courage and faith that things are going to work out.
Yes, definitely.
And that you're going to find out, like, as you go. Like, you don't have to have 10 steps figured out before you go somewhere or do something or, you know, start business or whatever you feel called to.
Yes, exactly.
You don't have to have the confidence at the beginning. You just have to take little steps, and then your confidence grows as it goes. Like, I used to, for example, avoid group sessions. Like, for example, the content creators that we go to, right? I used to avoid places where if I speak, there is 10 people looking at me at once. Like, I would get really, like, uncomfortable. I don't like the attention. People that like attention, most of the people like attention. I actually really don't.
You don't.
And so I would get really nervous when, like, there's like a group of people looking at me at once, you know? And I was like, I'm just gonna have to put myself into these situations where I'm gonna start taking these steps little by little.
Yeah.
And until I grow confident enough, and that's exactly what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening, you know?
Exactly.
And so the last time I ask a question and there's like 10 people replying, and I'm like, you know, having like, a conversation with 10 people at once, and I'm not even anxious. Like, I'm not even, you know.
Exactly.
It was fun.
In the moments, like the expectations and like all of that, it really, like you said, it is a prison, you know. It really can box you in for sure, and I felt that way. But what we realize once we start to take those steps is like, maybe it was a prison, but like the door was never locked. Like, we could walk out at any time, you know. And like by taking those steps, like, we realize, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, because it's basically something that we have been conditioned to believe.
Yes.
We're conditioned to value the wrong things, right? Like, since you are a child, these values are forced upon you, or like basically you're being brought up to value things like material possessions and success, and, you know, like wealth, and have a good job, and like, you know, go to uni, get a good job, get a house, get married. It's the ultimate destination, right? Like, that's gonna bring you the everlasting happiness.
This should make you happy.
Yeah, and it's like so many of us just like spend our lives just chasing these things, and also approval of others. Like, you know, you think what other people think of you is what actually determines your value. And as you step out of these constrictions and as you overcome them through like this journey back to yourself, you realize it was all an illusion. It was all like this distraction that made you focus on the external world rather than on your internal world. And that basically whatever you are looking for comes from within. Like, it's all about your own inner happiness, stability, your resilience. It all comes from within, you know. And
I totally agree. And I made this point to someone before, but I was thinking about it, right? And like, when it comes to travel and like going abroad, moving abroad, it's interesting to think about because, you know, I feel like it almost forces you to find that inner stability, because it's like now it makes it a lot harder now, like, to get external kind of comfort. Like, sure, you can still go to like your favorite food place, whatever, but like in like, for example, right? Like in the past, like you talk about like people like having the house and the job and everything like that.
Yeah.
So when you're living life in that way, pretty much most of your days and most of your life like is going to be pretty predictable. So you can kind of by proxy gain some, have that security externally, right? But when you start traveling, things are always changing. Like you're in another country, maybe you don't speak the language, maybe like you're traveling around and constantly surrounded by new people. You don't know what's going on all the time. So now it's much more difficult to get that external. So you do
your environment
have to find
is always
it.
changing.
Yes, so you have to find it
yeah.
in yourself. You have to. But as we've said, even though this can be uncomfortable, especially in the beginning, it really is like such a gift. Like seriously, that is one of the biggest, one of, if not the biggest gift I've received from traveling is like that it really made me look inwards and like see like what parts of me was holding me back, like what behaviors was like not good anymore, what wasn't serving me anymore, like, and how can I now kind of start to take that inventory and build like a good foundation in myself